Hey everybody! So as a lot of you know, I actually went to India just a few weeks ago and I stayed there for 2 months. One of them I spent completely on my own. And the other month was the preparation and shooting of 2 Bollywood music videos that I wrote and directed. I would like to share with you guys what I truly experienced in India. And that is kind of hard to do, mainly because we usually want to impress white people essentially when we're telling them about our home countries. I will start off with the pro and then I will move on to a con that I found in India. First pro is that the city of Delhi for white people, is actually surprisingly super clean. There are no major mosquitoes, there's no bugs, and there's no trash on the ground. The streets are a lot cleaner than even some streets in America actually. I thought that the second I'd get off the plane, I would just run into a huge allergy attack and not be able to breathe the air. So in that case, I was pleasantly surprised. And a con is that the city of Mumbai is really disgusting. The second you go outside, you will feel the air just going into your body because that's how nasty it is. It's kind of like breathing in acid pollution. There is no inch of the ground that isn't covered in some kind of litter, which is disgusting, guys. Come on. Every time I'd blow my nose, just a bunch of thick black smog essentially would come out. And there is so much that we can do to fix it that it literally shouldn't even be a problem anymore. You can start picking up the trash that other people leave behind. Who cares if it's not your trash? It's your planet, isn't it? And a pro is that while I was in Mumbai, I actually got to work on set of The Voice India, and I was an assistant director of the reality TV division. It was a really cool job. My uncle Mika Singh is actually one of the coaches on the show. You know, the people who get to sit in the red chair and then turn around and judge people? Thanks to him and his awesome opportunities, I got to sit in the front row and I got to see how the entire thing is taped. I learned a lot just by observing how they're filming everything in the Bollywood industry. And another con is actually also The Voice. Because I got slightly more luxurious treatment because Mika Singh is my uncle, a lot of people really didn't like me. I got the vibe that they didn't even understand that I am actually a fully trained film director and can do anything that they can do, possibly better. They also really made some awkward jokes about my skin color, so I'm not as dark as other Indian people. Probably because I've lived in the US all my life and my parents are pretty light-skinned just naturally. Because of that, they'd kind of make racial jokes about me. For example, I was the stand-in for Sumidhi Chauhan, who is another coach at The Voice, and she's a huge pop star. And I was just filling in, standing where she would have stood under the lights. And they made a joke about how my skin is reflecting off all the light. Also about The Voice, there were tons of creepy people. And when I say creepy, I mean genuinely creepy. There were a bunch of dudes that would just kind of stare at me. They were probably just attempting to get a green card. It was really awkward and it made working there feel really uncomfortable. And there'd be tons of people that were blatantly trying to get at something while talking to me, and I'd be like, dude, I know what you're up to. Another pro is that I actually got to record my vocals and my raps on the track for Welcome Back, which is a huge Bollywood movie, seriously. That happened all thanks to my uncle Mika Singh again. He had me assist him in the studio a lot, write some lyrics, translate some things, think of new ideas, and pitch in with musical suggestions. It was literally 5 a.m. and he asked me to record the main chorus of the Welcome Back theme song. And I was like, heck yes! And on top of that, he also let me write an entire 4-stanza rap, and I got to record it myself. So the end product actually had a lot of my vocals in it, and that was really cool because I would have seen myself on the big screen with a bunch of awesome Bollywood celebrities lip-syncing to my voice. And here's the con that comes with it. I'm sure a lot of the Indian people around here have heard of an actor named Anil Kapoor. He single-handedly destroyed any chance of that song getting into the movie. He apparently didn't like the song. And unfortunately, because he's one of the more powerful actors in Bollywood, the directors actually listened to him and took out the song completely from the movie and replaced it with a really dinky song. Literally, the moment I heard this news, I was like, one day when I'm getting an Academy Award, an IFA Award, I'm gonna be like, brother, you could have totally accepted my song and created the dreams of a little girl. But no, instead you decided to break them. Another pro about India is their markets. Their markets are amazing. It's kind of almost as if you're in a Ratchet Paris. Literally, there are little boutiques spread across the entire marketplace, and you have to physically walk 8 miles to get to the store that you want to go to. They have the most epic things for like the cheapest price that you could possibly ever imagine. And on top of that, you get to bargain at most places, not all places. I was pretty shocked at how awesome some of India's fashions were. They were even better than the ones that we have here. I'm actually really amazed because I figured that like they wouldn't sell shorts or skirts or dresses there just because of the awful things that you kind of heard about females not being equal, but that is completely wrong. There are people walking around in shorts and skirts and dresses, and of course a con. Because I was surrounded by a lot of family members and workers, and because of the bugs that would bite you if you had like bare anything, I couldn't wear like shorts, dresses, skirts. I probably wore like 2 dresses tops the entire time. A lot of that actually stems from the fact that I was there for work-based purposes, so I couldn't afford to be as free with my clothing choices and expression as I would be in the US. And another pro is actually that I was offered a really huge job by this company called Fableizer, who creates animated movies for young children. They offered me the job of an assistant director for an entire animated film. That was really awesome and impressive, and I was so excited, but it was kind of a 2 or 3 year long contract, so I couldn't take it. And the con of why I couldn't take it, and this is a huge issue, they were only giving me 30,000 rupees every month to do a near impossible job of being an AD. Hold your horses, 30,000 rupees is not a lot. It translates to about $300 US a month, if not less. I think my taxi would cost more than that per month. And that's when it hit me that there are tons of people in India that are literally living below the standard. And really there should be a system in place of minimum wage just like we have here in the US so that people can be helped out. All you have to do is be passionate enough about the subject to sign a petition or start a campaign that will ask the government to create a minimum wage system. And it will only benefit you and every other Indian person in the country. And yet another pro about India is that going there made me feel like a celebrity. You know, we live in America where not a lot of people might recognize us immediately, and in India pretty much everybody recognizes us. Well, my mom and I will just be posing for some, you know, touristy photos in front of the India Gate, and a crowd of 50 people will gather around because they recognize us and they want to see us posing. So literally in my head, I felt like but actually in reality it was more like, but still the feeling was there. My mom and I were actually exiting a mosque that we went to with our Muslim producers. We saw a bunch of kids that were hiding behind a few cars in a parking lot, and then those group of kids finally got the nerve to come and talk to us, and they asked us for pictures because they recognized us. They actually recognized me as well, and that's really rare because most people don't really know who the director is. So the fact that these kids knew me by name and they were so admiring and they were so kind, it really made me feel awesome, and that's a moment that I will pretty much never forget in my entire life. And yet another con is that my phone got stolen. Literally the guy driving an auto was in on it and he had set me up. I kid you not that all of my amazing photos and videos from more than half the trip were on that phone, and because the internet is so dang shady in India, I did not have time to back up any of my cloud storage. I lost so many memories, and a lot of those I will never get back. A lot of those photos I've been saving up to show my brother and sister, like I had selfies with monkeys, videos of cows on the street in the middle of the highway, awesome videos that I took of all the temples that I went to. The Indian police did not give a flying F about any of this, and they were just really rude about everything, and they just didn't care, and they didn't act quickly enough. Otherwise, they clearly could have caught the people who took my phone. Another pro is that I got to live in the Meridian Hotel for a month, which is pretty much unheard of. I kid you not, this place is like the palace from your dreams. It's really weird, but I actually miss some of the staff there. Like the girls down at the snack/juice bar in the lobby were actually kind of becoming my friends, and I actually have pretty nice memories of them. The Meridian is just so luxurious that you will probably die and melt like 800 times, but along with it comes a con. The second you step outside of this luxury world of yours, you see so many people that are poor, and you see actual poverty on the streets. If India just had the power to set up some homeless shelters and maybe even had like a food truck that comes and gives free food to areas with with a lot of homeless people, I feel like a lot of these problems would be easily solved. But that does come with a pro, which is in India you get a lot of opportunity to help a bunch of different people. You will see poverty everywhere, and everywhere that is poverty, there's an opportunity to help those people in need. You end up helping like 40 to 50 different people a day by buying them food, clothes, or water. In America, you have to like really schedule something if you want to help somebody. Every street there's an opportunity to help somebody in India. Yet another con along those lines is that some of the beggars actually attack you. Example, I was just trying to buy medicine with my mom at a store one day, and this beggar lady comes up to me and starts hitting me pretty viciously. She started like hitting my arm like that, and I was like, girl, stop. And my mom got really mad that this woman was hitting me, so she literally threatened her, and the lady finally backed off. But the shop owners warned us that we had to run away from there as fast as possible, because sometimes these beggars have mafias of like literal beggars. They will come and hunt you and beat you down if you insult them, which is pretty odd because they kind of live out of the pity of the world's hand. But yet another pro is that I got to record and help my mom record at the legendary Yash Raj Studios, which is kind of equivalent to Warner Brothers Studios, for example. I actually got to record some of my own vocals for the chorus of my mom's new song. Even better is that I was pretty much the music director of both of my mom's songs. It was amazing because I didn't even know I had that capability. So at least now I know that I can be both a film director and a very good music director. Literally everybody in the studio was insanely surprised that I did not go into music. They were like, are you a music director already? I was like, no, I'm actually only 20, so that's not even possible. It was pretty amazing to hear all of those kind words and praises from everybody at such a legendary studio. And yet another con is sweaty people everywhere. It does not take that long to put on deodorant. It probably takes like 5 seconds, like 2.5 seconds per armpit, and it will confirm to decrease your sweatiness by at least 45%. Even the biggest of people smell, like producers at The Voice and a lot of like studio managers, literally people. If you want to improve India, there are so many ways to do that, and the easiest way is to start encouraging yourself and other people around you to buy deodorant. With deodorant, your stench level goes from this to this. And yet another pro about India was that I got to live in one of the most luxurious houses of pretty much all time. It was actually a bungalow that is owned by my uncle Mika, who's a pop star in India, so when I was left alone in India to assist him, I actually got to live in that bungalow. And that's where I met amazing people like Sandy and Vijay, who were the servants of the house, but they were so kind and helpful, and they really made me feel at home, so it almost became like my secondary family in India. But speaking more about the house, it actually had a studio built inside it where I spent many nights helping my uncle out with a lot of creative aspects of his songs, like suggesting different musical instruments to be played at different parts of the song, and I got to help big celebrities like Sophie Chaudhary also. So that was a really awesome experience. I really loved the house, and it was so safe, positive, clean environment that it really made my transition into being in a country like India much easier. The con with that was that I was really lonely. Despite the fact that I had awesome people around me like my cousin Sapna and Harji Masi, I still felt really lonely. And because it was monsoon season, the rain would sound like there were empty buckets rolling around on the roof. And I don't know why it would make that sound, but it was a very haunting, like spooky sound, and it was a very weird time where there was no sunlight, because for those of you who don't know what monsoon season is, it rains and storms for many months in a row. On the flip side, we did get to do a lot of rainy day activities like going to the movies a lot, which was really cool because movie theaters in India are hundreds of times better than the movie theaters in America. You can literally buy one of those awesome seats that like reclines and you can put like your feet up for like $5 US. And there are literally 10 different cafes to choose your in-movie food from, and they do have the same amount of movies, if not more, than we have here in America, because they play both Bollywood and American movies. You get the best of both worlds. But of course, with rainy day activities comes the rain, and like I was saying before, monsoon season was not pleasant, and one of the huge cons was that there is no concept of rain boots in India. That means that everything up to your knees in these floods would get pretty much contaminated with filthy, dirty street water. If you have an open wound, it's very likely to get infected real quick. And on that same topic, it's actually very hard to stay healthy in India at all. You're not getting any sunlight because there's like a cloud of pollution that like forms over the sky and it blocks out the sun. And psychologically and physically, that is so bizarre, just not to feel the sun for so many months. I came back paler than my family here in the US was. You also have to deal with the fact that you cannot eat raw foods at all. Don't trust any raw foods whatsoever. They will all have some form of dysentery, I promise you. Because I could not eat any raw vegetables, no spinach, no lettuce, no tomatoes, no carrots, no fruits either, like no strawberries, no mangoes. I literally lost so much iron, you cannot even imagine how sick I was after I came back to the US. So I'm sure that is actually why Indian females have the highest iron deficiency in all of the world. And there's always the point that there's a huge amount of pollution and breathing that in can't possibly be good for you. So even I got hugely sick in India and I actually had to be hospitalized for like 3 days because of this whole issue with the overall health. And yet another pro about India is the donut and coffee shops. People, I have not emphasized this enough. There are more options for coffee and donuts than we will ever have in America. You walk into a donut shop and they have like the most amazingly like super designer donuts and they'll have like the most wacky flavors. It puts Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kreme to absolute shame. Another pro actually is that it's an awesome place to be a vegetarian. There are places like KFC that actually have totally vegetarian menus. There's a lot of chain stores in India that are super tricked out, like the Starbucks in India has 1,000 different food options like just sitting right there and they're totally ready to eat. Whereas the Starbucks here in America actually have like 2 sandwiches and like 1 orange waiting to be eaten. So I was really impressed by the fast food system in India. It's actually a lot healthier, cheaper, and a lot tastier than the stuff that we have over here in America. Honestly though, you do need to give India a try. It's totally possible that my perspective would be totally different from your perspective. Maybe the things that I liked or didn't like about India would be completely opposite for you. India is an amazing place to visit, truly, but I do believe that it's still not up to par as a good place to live. A lot of standards still need to be brought up a lot higher, and I think that will start the second that this younger generation starts to see a problem with the way that life is in India. And there's a lot of improvements being made pretty much all over India, and I would seriously love to influence those of you watching to do something positive for the place that you live in. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really hope that it opened your eyes to some aspects of another culture. I'll see you next time.